Welcome back to another installment of Iron Debate, the show where we settle the score and we talk about the most controversial topics in all of bodybuilding. Joined today by King Kamali and Jose Raymond. Guys, welcome to the show.
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Now, there's been a lot of analysis. You know, a lot of people trying to break down the Olympia. We've broken it down before. King and I did post-game shows. We've talked about it. There's other shows out there. Dennis James had a show on with George Farah and Milo Sarshev and Chris Cormier. They broke the show down. I want to break down the breakdowns now because we're hearing a lot of excuses now. We're hearing a lot of reasons why certain guys didn't look good. And I want to get you guys' opinion straight from the hip because I know you guys are going to tell the truth about what you think. You know, right off the bat, I'm hearing from Dennis James and from a bunch of people, they think that Ramy was flat. That term flat. First of all, King, tell me what the word flat means in bodybuilding terms for the people who might not know. And then tell me if you agree with that statement.
Okay, in layman's terms means he took too many diuretics. That's what it breaks down to. Simple, easy peasy, Japanesey. That's it. He took too many diuretics and he could not catch up with it. Now, for those people who don't understand, can't catch up with it, let me explain to you from a personal experience. It doesn't matter if you sit down and eat 16 pizzas and 15 cakes back to back. When you're flattening out from diuretics, you're going to be flat for at least 48 hours. That's it. There's no coming back from it. You can't catch up with it. So whatever he did those last 3 days, he could not keep up with it. And then we can add in the cortisol and the stress and all that stuff.
Now, Dennis James said that when he looked at him that morning, I guess once Ramy got to Vegas, I guess he was in the same hotel as Chad, and Dennis was in another hotel. But Dennis went to see him that morning, and he said he looked flat to him that morning. And he told Chad, and Chad didn't necessarily agree with him. We don't know what they did. I did hear a rumor, though, and I don't know if you guys heard this, that Ramy was seen and Bonac seen drinking some kind of red liquid backstage. I don't know if that was a Chad Nichols special or what, but have any of you guys heard that or anything?
No.
Like that? No. What do you think happened, Jose?
Well, first off, I want to start by saying I love Dennis, and I have the utmost respect for him.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's smart, but I think he got bamboozled by seeing only Ramy every day for so long. And I bet he was in shape. I bet he was lean. His glutes were crazy. He's huge in person.
Yeah.
So to tell me that he looked like the Olympia champ the day before or the days leading up to it is misleading because maybe how did Dennis, who's very smart, not see the missing lats? How did he not see the 18-inch left tricep and 23-inch right arm, How do you not see that? And I'm not being an ass. I'm just wondering.
Dennis says that he had those last year, too, and he won the Olympia last year.
No, he didn't. It was worse. It's worse this year. There was absolutely no lower lats. He was also not opening his rear double. He was pinching his shoulder blades together.
And why do you think that was?
I don't know. Maybe to show more detail in the middle of his back, but it just made things look worse because he wasn't as wide as normal, and then having wider hips, it fell apart. And even from the front, look how much smaller that left arm is.
Yeah, and these are pictures from a week out, which Dennis knows. He does look like he's in shape here.
Stop right there. If you're talking, he's in shape, but he's not Ramy that we are used, like the Ramy from the New York Pro. He's not that Ramy. It's obvious.
Do you think this is good enough to win? I think it's good enough to win. Back doesn't look bad there. I mean, he has high lats, but it's not terrible.
Back doesn't look bad there because he's not standing next to Lunsford and he's not standing next to Hottie. That's why. Remember, Dave, don't forget, I'm 8-time Mr. Olympia in my kitchen. Okay?
Yeah.
Nobody could beat me in my kitchen, not even Ronnie of 2003. So standing by yourself is one thing. But again, that's not the Ramy that, all he had to do, this is how we were all assessing it. Just come back better than you did last year, and you're going to be fine. That's how I was looking at it. As long as he's better than last year, they're going to give him the nod Doesn't matter because Hottie's too small. Derek is too fresh. Andrew's, he's missing something. He'll be fine. He just wasn't. And when he stepped on stage, Jose was there. I wasn't. I was watching with you, but I'm sure Jose will attest to this. He instantly started to go watery, softer, and because his confidence was gone.
Yeah. I probably had the best seats in the building. I was literally 2 seats behind the judges table, dead center. And the way they're set up, you're eye level with them. So I had incredible seats. And one after the other, after everyone came on, you were like, wow, everyone seems to be off. And then I was sitting with Fuad, and when Derek came out, we were freaking out. We were like, holy shit, he can win. And then Hottie, same thing. And then when Ramy first walked out, they opened the door for him. You were like, there's a big man. He looked great just standing there. But each pose he did, it got worse and worse and worse. And my eye was just like, that doesn't look as impressive to me as 2 or 3 of the guys I've already seen. And then sure enough, when they compared them, my brain was right.
If Ramy was too flat, okay, the question is, why was he too flat? And King, you made a very good. I believe what you said. He took too many diuretics. But why would Chad, who's done this a million times, give him too many diuretics? Did they carb him up too much, you think, and then panicked? No pun intended, guys. I'm not trying to pull the panic. But essentially, you know what happens? You give too many carbs, you're like, uh-oh, the guy's spilling over a little bit. Let me hit him with some diuretics. You think that's what happened, or did he just get too many diuretics to begin with?
Okay, so I've worked with Chad. Yeah. Okay, I was there, when he was working with the top 5 guys in the world. He let me come into the whole family and all that stuff. So I know how he works. First, let's get first thing out of the way. So these knucklehead troll dickheads on the internet, so they can stop talking their shit. All right. Why wouldn't Chad want him to look great? Obviously, he's going to do everything in his power to get his athlete to look the best that he can. Okay, we all can agree on this. So he must have seen something. Now, on top of that, one thing that Chad does like to do, okay, is he likes to push it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He likes to push it. So if you're teeter-tottering, if you're like right there and there could be a window of this much of being just that much better, he'll push it. When a lot of people will be like, no, we're good. See, I personally don't take that. I say, okay, we're at this point right here. We're going to keep it right here. So instead of taking more diuretics, let's do some water restriction, elevate your feet, and sleep. Because I'm a firm believer in sleep. When you sleep, you wake up so much better and you piss like a camel.
Well, it lowers your cortisol levels, which is definitely can cause fluid retention. But let me ask you this. Chad was pretty preoccupied with that whole 300 number. I really feel like they really, it happened with Ronnie, and he brought Ronnie in, like 292 or something like that to the 03 Olympia, and he looked phenomenal. Chad really wanted to bring Ramy, and I think what happened, and I could be wrong, I'm just speculating. I've said this before, that I think that at a week out, we saw those pictures, he looked really good. And Chad probably figured we got him in shape. It's the best shape Ramy's ever been in. Let's feed him now. Let's fill him up. Let's bring him in at 300, big, round, and hard. And I just think Ramy's physique didn't want to cooperate with that, and it started spilling over. And that's when I think that's why the diuretics came in, because I don't think Chad would just push diuretics for no reason, especially with a guy the size of Ramy.
Depending on which type of diuretics too. Let's put that into the equation. Yeah. That's a very, very important factor when it comes to this. What kind of diuretics are we talking about?
Right. Yeah, we don't know that. Probably Demodex.
Right.
Jose, do you think Ramy can come back and regain his title, or are his deficits that we've seen for the past year or so, the lats, the divots in the quad, are those just going to be like deal breakers, kind of like the way Phil's waist was when he tried to make the comeback?
Well, first I want to address the diuretic thing. Okay. We don't know that that's the issue. It could be, absolutely could be. But King made a very good point in, being this close and then going over the top. And when I work with Chris always used to say to me, "Listen, we're not shooting for a home run. Let's hit some base hits and see what happens." He's like, you're fine where you're at. We don't have to do anything crazy. And that was the best way to go at it. And they may have tried to do something to like blow him out of the water. They were making these predictions like he was going to be a 2003 Ronnie Coleman.
That's right.
And I think putting that much pressure on Ramy and Chad on himself to live up to that, maybe they did do something. I don't know. But to answer your question as, can he come back? He's still the biggest guy on stage. I don't know. It does appear to be a nerve issue. His arm is significantly smaller, and his lats are definitely gone, like the lower lats. There was a good comparison on Instagram. Someone posted of a rear double from, 2015 to now.
Yeah.
And his lats used to come all the way down. So, but no, I don't think those issues can be fixed. It happened to a lot of people. Jay, it happened to. The lower lats disappeared at the end of his career. That still looks great to me. But
yeah, me too.
When he stands next to guys that are so complete, like Derek and Hardy, that's going to be very difficult to come back from. I really don't see it.
Let me throw a theory out there. Who seems to have the worst case of the lat retraction and the loss of legs? It seems like the big guys. Ramy, Ronnie had the lat issue. Jay, you mentioned. These are big guys. And I think that is it possible that the amount of weight that these guys walk around at for such a long time compresses that spine, which we know it does, and then maybe starts pinching off those spaces where the nerves come out of, the spinal nerves, and that could maybe lead to the atrophy? Maybe, in other words, it's maybe not even an injury. It might just be over time, as you get older, we shrink. I mean, I know I'm an inch shorter than I was when I was 18. Just happens, your spine compresses a little bit and the spaces decrease. Maybe these nerves are not firing the way they need to be. And he is the biggest of big. I mean, we've never seen a guy that size. He's bigger than Ronnie was in the offseason. So think about walking around at 340 pounds in the offseason, how much compression on his spine there is. He's 38 years old now. Could be just catching up with him, Is it possible? You never saw that with Dexter or any of these other guys that are on the smaller, lighter side.
Certainly. It certainly didn't help.
No.
Yeah, I think there's a different theory in this too. There's another thing that you can add to this, Dave. I think that the older you get, okay, and I don't know if Jose is going to agree with me in this or not, but to maintain that freaky, dense, round, full look, you have to continue to train heavy. And that heavy training eventually catches up to you. All right.
Yeah.
Right now, I remember, believe me, I would have loved to do legs with Jose back in the day. That would have been great because I'm known for my stupid leg days of, vomiting for an hour and crawling out of the gym. It would have been fun. But I could do it now, but that would be just stupidity on top of stupidity. And right. I feel myself, I pulling down the weight and going heavy. It takes its toll. And I think especially in the case of Jay, because I remember Jay, after one of the Olympias, after the Arnold Classic or something, he came to me. We were at the Muscle Tech after party, and he said, "King, was my back downsized? Was I downsized?" And I'm like, "A little bit." He goes, "Yeah, I got to go back to heavy training." So he knew that is the key. That's what's going to keep him there. But it's a give and take. That heavy ass training is going to keep that fullness there, but you're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. Absolutely, and I experienced it at the end of my career. I was 43 on stage when I finally called an end, and I couldn't train the way I used to. I couldn't, my hips were gone, my shoulders were gone. Right. There's no way I could do the things that I used to, and my physique showed it. I was lucky, got a gift to get a 5th place in my last Olympia, and because I was in condition, but condition looks even different when the muscle's not bursting through the skin anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know how old Ramy is. What's he, 38, 39?
Yeah, I'm gonna be 38, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not that old, but he's been so big for so long.
The heavier you are, the more it impacts, I think, your physique. I really believe that.
Absolutely. You know, Ramy was able to do it later because he didn't get really big until later. You know, he was natural his first few years or whatever. You know, he went from 230 to 290 in the course of, 7 years or something.
Right.
And another thing, Dave, you got to add this in for the kids so they start to realize the reality. That deep tissue massage and all that only helps about that much. It really doesn't have that much. I mean, people seem to think because, Jay got deep tissue massage and that's what we want. No, just not that big because he was eating 800 times a day and training and taking gear. That's what Jay, that's put on the side. Not the deep tissue. So it's not like, because I've seen all those videos this past week, I went and I checked out all the, because he was posting videos of him. Ramy was getting the deep tissue massage. He was getting the chiropractic adjustments. He was doing the cryotherapy. He's doing all that. Didn't help. Did he win the Olympia? No, he slipped to 5th place. Okay. So it's definitely something that happened. Now, I want to add one more thing in there. I know I'm going all over the place. Okay. I called Dennis the next morning. Okay, and I had a 30-minute conversation. I actually woke him up.
And I thought you only called me. Now I really feel it.
I had to. I called Dennis up. I woke him up, I think, because he was all groggy. I said, Dennis, what? Explain to me, please, between me and you, between King and Dennis, what happened? And here's I'll rip Dennis apart in a second, but I got to give him something here. Okay, I'm going to give him this. Sure. He genuinely was in disbelief. Like you could tell, I can tell. I have this intuitive thing when I talk to people, when I hear bullshit or not. He wasn't. He was like, he really thought Ramy is going to look the best he ever has and going in there, putting aside the lats, the lower back and the tricep and stuff. He thought that there was there. And then he said, King, I swear to you on my life. And, he was going on and swearing. I don't know what happened the last 3 days. That's not me. It's out of my hands. Well, that's what he told me.
I don't know why everyone's calling Dennis and asking Dennis what happened, because Dennis doesn't do his diet. Chad does. So I don't know why Dennis is taking the brunt of anything. Dennis was basically just a good friend and training partner to Ramy.
Because he was living with him, because they were training
he wasn't
together.
Doing his diet.
And Jose said something good too. I mean, they're seeing him every day. That's why the kids, but you can't listen to the trolls. Put the trolls aside. Okay, who cares about them? I'm talking about just us as his peers, as IFBB pros, and as geniuses like you, Dave. What happened? We're curious too. I want to know what happened. I've worked with Chad. I've listened to Dennis. I know Chad likes to push it at the end. That is my theory.
You know what? When you push Ronnie Coleman, he gets better. When you push, Nasser al-Somebody, he gets better. You push Ramy, it seems like too much. You're stressing his body out too much, and he falls apart. They would have been better off doing nothing different. Those pictures that I put up on this screen, I mean, that's enough to win the Olympia. He doesn't even need any more carbs. He could have just showed up like this. He would have won the Olympia. There's no doubt in my mind that.
What did I tell you the next day? What did I tell you the next day? If he would have just woke up that morning, pretend like it's another just a Friday morning, hang out, go eat breakfast, do a little bit of cardio, slap on some paint, and get on stage, he would have looked phenomenal.
He would have won. He would have won. It's the whole process. They did too many things to him. And I think it stressed his body out and he couldn't handle it. You know who was like that? And he didn't have a physique like Ramy. Greg Kovacs, okay, was an enormous human being. Granted, he didn't have the structure of Ramy, but I've seen his body. His body would fall apart when he would get to a show. He'd be so nervous. He'd be taking 14 different things. And Chad used to do his diet too. And his body would I said, you know what, Greg? You'd be better off, I told him this, doing absolutely nothing different than you do every single day when you go to the gym. You're still not going to win the show because you don't have the structure of these guys, but you would at least look shredded on stage and you'd have a great looking physique and people would say, holy shit, look how big Greg is. I think the big physiques can't take when you do too many different, stressful things to them. And plus the personality too. Some people don't let anything bother them. Ramy internalizes everything. I know Kovacs was the same way. Very, very, insecure about how he looked.